What's going on, you guys? Welcome back for another video on the Legacy GT. So I am super excited because today we're going to finally be installing the Fortunato 500 Series Coilovers that I've been sitting on for close to 2 years. I was just checking the certificate of authenticity and it's from 2020 in October. So I think I've had these at least a year and a half, but I just want to give a huge shout out to Fortunato for helping out on this build a little bit. And I really appreciate you guys being patient while I got all the parts together here. But for the wagon, I went with their 500 Series Coilovers with the Swift Spring upgrade. The wagon at this point is still very much so a street car, and I wanted it to be enjoyable and still comfy to ride in. And I didn't think something like their 510 would be necessarily the best fit for this car. So we're gonna put the 500 Series on today. Now, in order to do that, we need to get the front suspension on. So if you've been keeping up, which you are because you're a good subscriber, we've got the Spec B aluminum control arms. We pressed all new white line bushings into them. We've got our hub assemblies ready to go. So we need to get all of this in the car, as well as our new white line tie rod ends to get the whole front end buttoned up. Now, one thing to keep in mind is if you are putting these Spec B arms on your car and you had the factory steel ones, it is a different cone piece that goes in here. So you need to make sure you get 2 of those. Now, I think the best plan of attack here is to get these arms connected back into the car, get our tie rod ends on, and then we'll start looking at putting our hub assemblies back into the car. All right, we've got the axle back in the car on both sides, so now it's time to get the sway bar connected to the control arm. I'm gonna do that while everything is out of the way here because it'll be a much easier process. But once we have the sway bar connected, we can throw the knuckle back in here, torque down the hub, and make this look like a more complete suspension. And if you've been watching for a while, you know nothing goes back into the car dirty, so we're gonna go ahead and clean up these end links and the hardware because these are still good. We didn't replace them, but I do wanna get the hardware and the actual end link all cleaned up before we put them back in. Okay, it's starting to look like a car again. We've got the front suspension all connected. I'm gonna wait to torque this down until we get everything all in here. So that brings us to the coilovers. And I am super excited to put these on the car because they're gonna just transform it in so many ways. There's a lot of cool things about Fortunato coilovers. One of them is that they are hand built for you. So with this setup, we decided to go with the Swift Springs and we did 10K front and rear. That's what they felt would be best for the wagon based on how I was setting up and what I wanted to do. So we gotta get these adjusted to the correct height. I'm gonna use my old suspension as somewhat of a point of reference and just test fit them in the car and then make sure that we've got an even gap here. Now, the other thing we need to do is set the preload. With these ones in particular, we're gonna basically wanna back these collars down till there's no tension in the spring, and then measure the spring. I believe it's probably a 7-inch spring, if not it's a 6-inch spring, and then we'll compress it a 1/4 inch. So whatever it is, bring it down a 1/4 inch, and that's the proper preload for these coilovers. And it's worth noting if you're doing this at home, with these ones in particular on the Legacy, you wanna make sure you have at least 50 millimeters of threading in this bottom part here. Okay, so learn from my mistake. I'm a newbie, first time coilover owner. These bottom bases are directional. I was looking at this and I was like, the speed sensor doesn't seem like it wants to attach there. And I was like, it would make sense that the brake line has a little cutout. And sure enough, it's backwards. So I need to pull this whole strut assembly out and swap it in with that one over there. That looks so good, all assembled. So the only thing we need to figure out is the little insert piece that goes at the bottom of the coilover isn't quite large enough for the bolt that goes through there into the trailing arm. So since these pop out like this, I'm guessing they have different sizes and maybe we just got the wrong size. So I'm gonna call Fortunato tomorrow and then we can button up that coilover install, but man, that rear end looks so good all put together. Okay, you guys, it's been a minute, but I got a hold of Fortunato 2 weeks ago and confirmed that what I got was the wrong size bushing. Now, the correct ones that I need for this are coming on Monday. Today's Saturday, you guys will be seeing this video the same day. So, I'm waiting on those, but I'm gonna make sure everything else is buttoned up so that when those come in, the car is ready to drive. So the last thing I'm gonna do in today's video is swap out this diff brace. Now, I installed this diff brace because I was waiting on an aluminum one that matches the Spec B arms from a Spec B in Japan. Now, obviously, I thought I was gonna be driving the car sooner than this, so I put this in as a temporary placeholder. But today we're gonna pull it out. Let me show you what we're replacing it with. So we've got this beautiful Spec B aluminum diff. Obviously, it's been vapor honed to match everything else because as you guys know, I'm extra about this and that's the only way we do things. So in order to get this installed in here, we gotta go ahead and remove that one. I'm hoping that I can just quickly swap it out and the diff bolt's back here and the connection to the driveline will hold it upright, but if it starts to tilt too much, we may have to support that a little bit more. Got the aluminum diff brace in and that looks so good. Just a nice piece of added bling with the rest of the new suspension parts. And in the next video, we're gonna be finishing the restoration on the Brembos to get those back on the car so we can finally put the wheels on and get the car on the ground. But in the meantime, I've put up 2 other Legacy GT videos on the screen. Check those out in the meantime. It really helps me in the channel and I'll see you next time.